All right, let's talk about Fred. Fred's a tropical depression, barely a tropical depression. Really struggling. It's going to continue to struggle. It moved over the mountain range there of the Dominican Republic and tore it apart. That track, as we talked about earlier, keeps it as a depression, something very weak and unorganized today and probably tomorrow. It's not going to come together very quickly, it doesn't look like. Then could be a tropical storm by Friday night going into Saturday morning as it gets close towards South Florida and Key West. There it is off Fort Myers coastline as we go into Saturday afternoon, into Saturday night and Sunday morning, still in the Gulf of Mexico and perhaps strengthening some as it makes its way towards the Florida Panhandle. Even over towards Mobile is still included in the cone of uncertainty. So there's still some uncertainty exactly where this thing's going to head once it gets into the Gulf, but generally the track will be up towards the Florida Panhandle. Landfall will likely be sometime late Sunday night before sunrise on Monday, and it could be somewhat of a decent tropical storm. It looks less and less likely like this will have enough time to reorganize and become a hurricane, but it could, if all the conditions are just right and everything goes just right for this thing, it could be a strong tropical storm at landfall. Most models in consensus that it is going to take at least this general track northwest and then making that hook to the north. The big question right now still is how close is it going to run to the coast of Florida, or is it going to get a little bit further out here towards Pensacola and Mobile with its landfall? Those are all scenarios that could certainly play out. If you do have plans to go to Florida this weekend or early next week, Monday or Tuesday, you need to keep an eye on the forecast. It definitely could be quite wet, but while it doesn't look like a big wind event for most people, could certainly bring some heavy rainfall for much of the state as they'll be on the east side of the storm. So we're talking about this thing getting disrupted. Here's why it looks like it does right now. This was yesterday before it moved over the mountains. I want you to look at the track of this thing and what it did. I mean, it moved smack dab right over the highest point of the entire Caribbean. I mean, those are the highest mountains that are down here in this area, and it moved right over it. So whenever you get a weak system like that, it goes over this mountainous terrain, it just tears it apart. It left all the moisture behind here, and that's why it looks like a mess, and it's so weak at this point. So that was kind of expected. Now, another reason it's not going to come together very quickly at this point is there's still some wind shear, not a lot of dry air, but there is the wind shear that's going to keep it from really coming together very fast. So the wind shear's there, all thanks to this upper level low spinning over Florida. But what's going to happen as we go into Saturday and Sunday, as this gets closer to the Gulf of Mexico, this upper level low is going to weaken, that wind shear will weaken, and that means it will have a better environment to maybe strengthen some. So lower wind shear, you couple that with this right here, boiling hot temperatures, not literally boiling, but the Gulf of Mexico water temperatures are approaching 90 degrees in some of these areas down here off the west coast of Florida. So it's going to have plenty of fuel to really strengthen. It's just how quickly does it come together? It's got to have storms near the center to strengthen, and it just does not have that right now. I also want to mention we've got Invest 95 out here. I'll tell you what, this thing's close to becoming a depression. We'll see if we get a tropical depression out of this today, or maybe in the coming days. It would be Tropical Depression 7 and maybe a named storm. The next name is going to be Grace. So it looks like we could have Grace out of this as it heads off towards the west there. It'll get to the Lesser Antilles, Puerto Rico, Dominican Republic, kind of close where Fred is right now, by early next week. So this is going to take a similar track in the near term, and we'll be tracking that one for a while.